Okay, me and Netflix have beef, but for right now, this is about Sonic. Okay, so sorry if this seems a little bit random, but I felt like I needed to come on here and give a little PSA before this video starts. So if you haven't heard the news yet, both WGA and SAG-AFTRA are on strike. I posted on Instagram and then also on the community tabs, but not everybody reads those. So just in case you didn't see that. So in solidarity with the strike, I'm going to refrain from posting content that is about struck work basically. So you may be wondering, well then why is this video up? A couple of reasons. Number one, I technically fall under the category of entertainment journalism slash commentary, whatever. And I'm gonna put a video up on the screen. I will link it down below. You guys can watch it. And in that video, the person in that video pretty much states like what is and isn't allowed for influencers, and it pretty much sounds like anything that is paid or unpaid promotion for them. And while I do fall under the category of commentary slash critique, me personally, I know that if you take one good look at my channel, I very much so make a more positive, let's just say, videos as it relates to things. I find it better to talk about why I like the things that I like than things that I hate. It's a whole thing. We don't got to get into that right now. But yeah, and so I kind of see that as a form of promotion, especially when most of my videos are positive. I don't completely talk about 100% positive things. Like if there is criticism, I usually talk about what criticisms I have of the season, but overall it is wholly positive. So this video is kind of like a two-parter video, kind of talking about the first part is just me talking about Sonic. I kind of talk about the strike while I talk about this and my issues with Netflix and stuff like that. I kind of touch on that a little bit, but this next video that's going to come out next week is more of a deep dive into why I feel the way that I feel right now about studios and of course the strikes and everything. So be on the lookout for that. So just in case you're wondering why I am making this video, that's the reason why. So enjoy the video now and be on the lookout for a second part to this video next week, and I will get more in depth about where my content is going in that next video. Thank you. Hey, it's Ali. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. And we don't need any preamble for this. Sonic Prime Season 2 just came out, and dare I say, it is better than the first one. Oh, yes, I said it. Yes, I said it, which is great because usually when shows like these happen, sometimes the second season isn't as good as the first season, but we are in a rare chance. When the second season is better than the first one, it is actively getting better, and we love to see it. So without any more preamble, I want to talk about it today. If at any time you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe because I make videos like this all the time. And comment down below your favorite moment of the season. And let's jump into it. So first off, the entire first episode was on YouTube, I think like a week or two early. I did not watch it. I did not watch it because first of all, I didn't have time. But then also when I did have time, I was like, or because I knew I was so close to watching it and then making an entire video about that first episode because I knew how much like Sonadao stuff was in there, and I was just like, as a Sonadao stan myself, I was really tempted. I was very, very tempted, but I held off, and I'm very glad that I did because I got to experience it all at once. And it made me miss like binge watching TV shows, honestly, but that we'll get into that later. Anyway, the first thing that I noticed about this show, other than the Sonadao moments, was the lore, the amount of lore that we got. The amount of lore that we got. They're really dedicated to building this world, and I really enjoy that. I don't know, I feel like in shows like these, especially shows that like are really built off the back of their IPs, the fact that they went this hard with, I know I said this about Lego Monkey Kid as well, but seriously though, they really didn't have to go this hard, especially for a show that is largely made for kids, that is largely made to push a certain product, that being Sonic in this case, whether that's merchandise, toys. They do have Sonic Prime toys, I know they do. So the fact that the show was obviously made to push this IP and just to make money, it is very heartwarming to see that we are able to give writers and voice actors and designers a chance to like actually build something of this world. Now granted, I will say this, Sonic has been all over the place in the past couple of years, so to have something that is like in its own little section of the world that like, and it makes sense, It's really nice to see. It was like really refreshing to like watch a story unfold, have it make sense, have it build its own world, which I'll get into more when I talk about like character designs, especially towards the end of the season, the stuff that was happening there. To see them have their own take and for it to make sense. They're not just throwing stuff at the wall and see what works. You can tell by the amount of lore that they kind of dump on you in this first episode that they care about this world. They're building this world. They're making the world make sense. Like, yeah, it's a bunch of like sci-fi nonsense, yes, at the end of the day, but it makes sense for the world, and that's what matters. And the amount of depth just means that they care a lot about it and care about it making sense. You know, it's not just like, oh, who cares if it doesn't make sense, it's a kid's show. It's like, no, they actually care, and they put time and effort into the world building and into like explaining all the prisms. Don't ask me to explain it to you, but they actually, you know, made everything make sense. Kind of. It's still sci-fi nonsense at the end of the day, let's be honest, but for the most part, it makes sense. Second thing that I noticed about this season, oh, Shadow's writing. Everybody was talking about this on Twitter, which is why I wanted to like rush and watch the first episode to make an entire video just about Shadow. But like, first of all, I'm not qualified to do that. Second of all, you don't need a whole video just talking about Shadow in the first episode. But his writing in this show was so good. We don't get to see Shadow a whole lot in a lot of media, a lot of recent Sonic media, other than obviously like the comics. The comics, again, a whole nother world over there. But we don't get to see him a whole lot in these types of medias. And when we do get to see Shadow, it's kind of like, I'm evil. Actually, I'm just an anti-hero. But like, there's not really any like true depth to him. And especially, we don't get to see a lot of Shadow after the fact, unless, again, you read the comics. The comics are great, by the way. I'm going to keep pushing this throughout this episode. If you loved this season, you should go read the comics. Absolutely. But yeah, Shadow in this is written very well, and we get to see how he is after the fact. Like, after they didn't have to go through the whole rigmarole of being like, Shadow used to be evil, but actually he kind of wasn't evil, and now he's cool. Like, we didn't have to go through all that rigmarole, which is nice. But we don't get to see a whole lot of him being like, okay, now he's in this world with all these characters and his dynamic with Sonic after the fact and all that stuff. We don't really get to see that a whole lot. So the fact that we got to see that... As a Shadow fan myself, I was eaten. Oh, I should have got my Shadow plushie. It's like up there with the rest of my plushies. Couldn't think of the word. Stuffies? People call them stuffies. Stuffed animals. Jesus Christ, I couldn't think of the word. He's there. Just know that he's there. He's up there somewhere. But yeah, the voice acting for Shadow was really well done, and having him speak more than just like 5 lines and him having some type of depth with it. We'll get into this a little bit later when we talk about the conflict between Shadow and Sonic in this season. Showing him have some type of morals was, it was, I loved it. But with Sonic and Shadow's like little dynamic, I can't not talk about Sonic and Shadow's dynamic. Come on now. This is probably gonna be half the video is me talking about Sonic and Shadow's dynamic. It is so nice to see Shadow kind of give in to Sonic a little bit, because when they're having their little fight in the first episode and they're going back and forth stealing the technology from each other, Shadow actually kind of like gives into the little bit of banter that they're having between him and Sonic. Like, it was just kind of like the whole lead up to that scene is Shadow being super duper serious and being like, Sonic, you gotta take this seriously. Our home is gone. Our friends are gone. You gotta take this seriously. And then when they're in the middle of their little fight, he's like, catch up with me, bro. Ooh, look at me. Like, it's so cute. It's so cute. Like, he's having fun. And of course, this is a good time to point out that the visuals for this season, absolutely top notch. And also the fighting sequences in every episode feel more drawn out. I felt I don't know. As I was watching it, I felt such a strong sense of like nostalgia, and I know it's because it's like, oh, it's Sonic, but no, I used to, watch Saturday cartoons. Used to, go downstairs, turn on 4Kids, and watch, Sonic X. Like, that used to be me. So getting to like, I don't know, I guess kind of do that again, and having a show that I was so like engaged in and enthralled in, I just had a moment where I was just like, oh my god, like there's gonna be a kid like growing up with this, and like it's actually good. Like. They actually have a good piece of like Sonic media to like grow up with. Like, I'm so happy for them in terms of a TV show, because once again, the comics are right there. So as for the actual plot, this got real angsty real fast. Throughout the entire season, I was sitting here like, oh, this is not gonna end well. Oh, no. I especially love how deep we went with Sonic's character this season. Like, it is really hard to give a character like Sonic a real character arc, because he has a type of like personality that is supposed to be super family friendly. He's supposed to be a hero in all sense of the word. He cares for his friends, blah blah blah. Seemingly no flaws, right. But I love the direction they went with in terms of giving him his fatal flaw in this season. Him being too caring of his friends to the point where it jeopardizes the mission that he's supposed to be on. And had he just left his friends alone and trusted them to do what they needed to do, none of this would have happened. Oh, Curly, none of this would have happened, but yet here we are. So the plot of this season is that Sonic has to go find all of the shards so that they can put them back together so that they can put together their world. However, Sonic is not thinking ahead about the like repercussions of doing that, because obviously mainly he just wants to go home and see his, real friends again. We'll get back to that. He just wants to go home and see his real friends again. But he has made new friends here with Nine, with all of the other like versions of Amy, Knuckles, Rouge, Big, and especially Tails. Like, he's made friends with these people, and he thinks that like, oh, we're all just, it's gonna be chill. Like, I don't know what he's expecting. I don't know if he was expecting like a portal was gonna be opened or something, and that portal is just gonna stay open and he could traverse through universes. I don't know. And Shadow like lightly hints at it, and I'll give him this. He doesn't like outright spell it out for Sonic, which is like, he could have just been like, bro, when we close this prism, your friend is gonna go bye-bye. Do you not understand that? Because I think maybe maybe in his mind, if he had told Sonic that, then maybe Sonic would be more apprehensive about doing it, and that would have been a whole nother issue. But Sonic really did not think ahead in that moment of, once we gathered all the shards together and we get Green Hill Zone back, did he think that all of the universes were just gonna collide in on itself? He was not thinking ahead, and that is like his main thing throughout this entire season. And he's just like, oh, I'll figure it out later. And then later comes and he still hasn't figured it out. Babes. I love how I have 2 bullet points on my notes that just say gay, and then Shadow did a lot of growling. Which, like, he did. He did a lot of fucking growling. Like, every time Sonic said something, he would just go. He would just growl. I'm like, okay, all right, bro. Okay. So this being an action show and the fights being more drawn out this season, you would expect it to kind of get a little stale after a while. And for the most part, they didn't. Like, I actually loved the drawn out fight sequences, especially when Sonic was the one fighting, because there's so much personality in Sonic. And like, I saw a bunch of things, like a bunch of GIFs on Tumblr that were like little frame by frames of like Sonic in certain fights, and it's him doing like little poses and stuff. It's so cute. It is so cute, and it gives it so much style. I feel like the battles this season were a lot more like choreographed. Like, they just upped the ante. I feel like the first season was a little bit of a toes dipped into the water, let's see how people feel about it, and now we can up the ante a little bit, and now we have like better fight sequences, longer fight sequences. As a show, this is an action show, which is like, I actually haven't seen an action show in a very long time, like a purely action show. Like, a good portion of the show is like 24 minutes long each episode. Like, a good portion of that, like, I want to say like maybe 3/4 of the episode is like fighting, is like actual fighting, whether it's between Sonic and other characters, Sonic and the Egg Council or whatever. Like, it's actual physical fighting. And I find that really interesting, because I was like, like, of course there is lore, but for most part, most of the episodes are built up of just fighting. And I like that personally. I think they do have a nice balance of it. There is more fighting this season than I guess there was last season, because maybe they needed to set up a lot of stuff last season. But this season is just like full to the wall action, like just action. So if you're wanting that, especially from Sonic, a character who has really cool fighting moves, this is for you, babes. This is for you. So right away, Sonic's fatal flaw of him caring about his friends is so apparent, and it hurts him almost immediately because of the entire character of Captain Nux. I don't remember his name. It's Knuckles though. Knuckles in the pirate universe. I don't remember his name. In that universe, he just completely betrays Sonic. Sonic is way too trusting of all these people because he thinks that they're his, like, OG friends. And so they're like, okay, why wouldn't these people trust me? Why wouldn't I trust them? They're literally just my friends, but in different fonts. That's what he thinks, and he does not think of these people as separate people. To the point... going back around to it, to the point when it comes to Tails, or Nine, excuse me, in this case, Nine, who was the character from last season in the little Eggtropolis, it's Yolk City, dominated by the Egg Council. Take that out of context. Anyway, Nine in this universe, who he has been like working with this entire time, he really sees Nine as Tails. And it becomes a problem more and more throughout the season because he's expecting Nine to act a certain way, the way Tails would act in a specific instance. And Nine does not act like that because Nine is a completely different fox than Tails. He has a completely different personality, completely different motives and goals and everything. But Sonic doesn't see that. Sonic does not see this fox. He does not see Nine as like his own fox, as his own being, right? He sees him just as his friend, just in a different font. So therefore, obviously, we would get along with the same thing. We have the same motives, all this type of stuff. But that becomes increasingly not clear. And towards the end of the season, Nine realizes that Sonic thinks this, and he's just like, "Oh no, babes, you were projecting onto me. You were projecting your friendship with this other person onto me. Are you really my friend, or are you just missing your other friend right now?" And so Nine is just like, "Peace out, bro. I gotta go. You figure that out. You figure that out, and I'ma go." And Shadow's just like, "I hate to say I told you so. Hate to say I tried to warn you, but I did try to warn you." And then also, despite the fact that like Knuckles, Captain Knuckles in this case, like literally betrayed him and continuously chooses to betray him, he's just like, "Oh, but like we're still best buds, right? We're still besties, right?" And it's like, bro, no, this is not Knuckles. This is not your friend. This is somebody else. You need to treat them as such, because now look at where you are. Look at where we all are. And also, Sonic's character got increasingly frustrating as he couldn't do the thing that he was supposed to be doing. And you can tell he is also starting to get frustrated with himself. So this is like the second flaw in his character that he has, is that he's just so go, not really thinking things out, not really, and letting his friendships cloud anything that he is supposed to be doing, to the point where he is not able to fulfill any of the missions that he is supposed to do. He's supposed to get 3 shards and he got 0 of them. Zero. By episode 4, I was on Shadow's side. I was like, okay, no, we're 0 for 3 at this point, Sonic. We are 0 for 3. I need you to come on now. I like, at that point I was frustrated with Sonic, and I think we all as the audience were supposed to be frustrated with Sonic. And then you can tell, especially later in the season, Sonic becomes frustrated with himself. He wants to focus. He wants to focus. Oh my god. Oh no, not the meta-analysis of that. He wants to focus on the thing that he's supposed to be doing, but he is letting his judgment and his like caring of his friendships get in the way of being able to literally do anything. And that is kind of what I wish they would have pushed a little bit more with Chaos Sonic, who is the new Metal Sonic in this universe. He ate that. The voice actor for Sonic ate that role. So I love him so much. I hope he comes back. I hope he's not just a one-off character for that one episode. I really, really hope he comes back and joins the Sonic team, because he is such a good character. And he's basically supposed to be Sonic, just in Robo form. And Sonic and Chaos Sonic at this point are fighting to a point where Sonic starts to get mad and annoyed with Chaos Sonic, to the point where he starts to get mad and annoyed with himself. And we see that kind of reflected later on when he goes into the first Shatter Space mode, which, like, we'll get into that in a second. But when he goes into that mode, you can see the like kind of like, what is the word? The after shots? Yeah, the after shots of him. And he's speaking to himself, and he's getting angry at himself. He's like supposed to be doing this thing, and he's getting angry at himself that he didn't do it in the way that he wanted to do it, that he is like not the hero that he's supposed to be doing, and he keeps messing up and all this stuff. And it gets to a point where you're like, oh, are you okay? And I mean, obviously the answer is no, but also they just casually drop like halfway through the season that there's a rip in time and space now, and they mention time a little bit too often in this season for there not to be any time travel shenanigans in the next one. And when there is time travel shenanigans in Sonic, you know who should be there. I'm just saying, I haven't seen Silver in a long time, unless you read the comics, but I haven't seen Silver in a long time, and I would like to see him again. But yeah, I don't know. I felt like they did a really good job of making Tails 9, like in this universe, giving him like a really clear objective. Because if you watch Sonic Boom, because I watch Sonic Boom, you should watch Sonic Boom. It's actually a very interesting show. It's very funny. It's like unironically really fucking funny. But in Sonic Boom, one of the like character arcs that like Tails goes on is that he's tired of being like Sonic's shadow, Sonic's like little lackey, right hand man, this, that, the third. And it's not too serious in of the thing because there's no overarching plot and they're not really focused on characters in that show. It's really just week to week shenanigans, which is fine. That show was actually really funny, like I said. But in this show, I feel like they wanted to go in a different route with that, which maybe when we get original Tails back, maybe that'll go into that route of being like, okay, Tails wants to be his own man, you know, type of thing. But in this one, it's more like this is kind of like, again, projecting onto 9. Sonic is heavily projecting onto 9. And it's like a reflection of your friendships. And 9 is like, wait a minute. Is this really, like, you just thought I would go along with you? And is that how this Tails acts in your universe? But that's not how I want to act. And then maybe that'll get Sonic to think, like, is that the way that I should be treating my friends in that universe? That they just go along with whatever and have to suffer the consequences of my own actions. Meanwhile, I'm over here chilling and they're stuck in this, like, shatter space half dimension blueprint dimension thing, and they're stuck there. Granted, I don't think they're in pain, but still, I don't want to be stuck saying the same thing over and over and over again. So it would be nice if, like, later on in future seasons we get to kind of see Sonic's growth in that way through that consequence of treating 9 like he's Tails, but then also treating Tails like you're just gonna follow me and do whatever I say, right? So it doesn't even matter. You're gonna figure it out. I don't have to figure it out. You figure it out, and then I just do the thing. Okay, we're back to Shatter Space Sonic. What is the name? Is it Shatter Space Sonic version 1 and 2? Is it Shatter Sonic? I feel like Shatter Space Sonic makes more sense. But anyway, I'm just going to refer to it as Shatter Space Sonic 1 and 2. If there's an official name, please let me know. But anyway, Shatter Space Sonic number 1, I already talked about, and how it is very, very interesting that the aftershots of Sonic that he's talking to back and forth are kind of like his brain running at a mile a minute. And now we get to see, like, his true inner dialogue that he has with himself. And let's just say it's a little, like, concerning. That hedgehog needs some therapy. He needs some therapy. But hey, if your main character doesn't need therapy, you're not doing it right. But anyway, Shatter Space Sonic 2 was a little bit more like Super Sonic. And I briefly mentioned earlier about making this show your own and making this show, like, completely new and completely different. And it's a breath of fresh air. And I like that. I think I was fully expecting, and I'm sure other people were too, both Metal Sonic, that isn't Metal Sonic, it's Chaos Sonic, and this Shatter Space Sonic, I think we were all expecting it to be Supersonic. I was expecting it to be Supersonic at least, but I'm glad it wasn't. I'm glad, like, obviously nostalgia bait, blah blah blah, they could have easily went that route and we all would have been like, oh my god, Supersonic, oh my god. It would have been like 100 different fucking YouTube videos about it. You would have been like, oh my god, Supersonic, with thumbnails looking like, you know what I mean? It would have been a whole thing and people would have been so excited about it. But I'm glad they didn't go that route. I'm glad that they stuck to making pretty much almost everything in the show, like, original in terms of, like, the designs, the powers, all of that. I'm so glad they, like, stuck to it being original, because now we get this Shatter Space Sonic version 2. What was going on there? What was going on there? Completely serious, completely quiet, all the voices that going on his head, zoom, and then afterwards he looks like, what the heck just happened? He's really like, what literally what happened? He doesn't even. So that was very interesting to see, especially the version 1 and version 2. The fact that there is a version 1 and a version 2. Oh, girly, I saw somebody draw, like, an even, like, bigger version than that. I still would like to see a kind of Supersonic Ultimate version, if that makes sense, like an Ultimate Shadow Space version that kind of looks like Supersonic, at least in the hair. It doesn't, the color scheme does not have to be the same. I actually did like the color scheme of Shatter Space Sonic version 1 and 2. It would be nice if, like, version 3, if there is a version 3, is like Supersonic. I love the Supersonic hair, okay? I love the Supersonic hair. I love the little Super Saiyan reference, okay? I just do. So it would be cool if that was, like, a little callback to that, but it's, again, its own thing, and I really love that it's its own thing. Also, the Dr. Eggman Kaiju. Where is the original Dr. Eggman? Like, where is he? Is he also stuck in, like, the blueprint, like, Green Hill Zone, like all the rest of the original friends are? Or is he somewhere else? Like, where is he? Because I kind of miss him. Like, nothing against the Egg Council, except for that baby. That baby can go. That baby I want to kick that baby. Anyway, nothing against the Egg Council, but I do kind of miss just like OG Dr. Eggman. So I wish he'd come back. I don't know where he is. I thought for a second maybe that's just him split up into 5 different personalities, I guess. I don't know, but it seems like that's not likely. But it's also like, why isn't there an Eggman in any other universe except for Yolk City where there's 5? That, like, I feel like I mentioned that in the last season too. So we're at the last season now, and 9 is now going to be the antagonist for the next season, which is great because now we get to deal with something that isn't just cut and dry. We need to defeat Eggman. I love a little morally gray character. You know I do. So getting to see 9 just kind of make some really valid points of like, why do we need to go back to the old world when the old world sucked? We can just make a new one. Now, granted, the Grim or whatever, I guess it's just this random wasteland that he found. One of these random worlds with a random wasteland that he found. I don't know, bestie. I don't know if that's gonna work. However, I admire the enthusiasm. I admire the plan of like, this is not working. We need a complete overhaul. Whereas Sonic is just like, oh, but actually I just want to go back to the way things were. And 9 was like, I was living in the sewers. Girly pop, I was living in the sewers. We ain't doing that. No. Not again. We are not doing that. So 9 makes some really compelling cases about it, and I want to see Sonic's kind of reaction to that. And also even Shadow's reaction to that, because like 9 raises some really good points. If we could all technically live together in this one world, then why wouldn't we? Even though I don't think that is like stable based off of what 9 has said about the prisms and the shadow space and being in different universes for too long of a period of time not being great. I don't think that's gonna happen, but something needs to get figured out. Something, because my man doesn't want to go back to living in the sewers, in the subway. He doesn't want to do that. So this season, to wrap it up, we have a real good, let's say, last season, 8 out of 10. This season, 9 out of 10. I know I'm really generous and I rate really highly because I really like this show. And if you haven't seen it, I didn't really spoil that much of like what goes on in each episode. I will be talking about my favorite moments in a second though, so those are probably a little bit spoilery, but I highly recommend that you go watch the show. It is so much fun. And if you used to watch like OG Sonic shows back in the day or whatever, this is gonna fill that place in your heart. It sparks joy. I don't know how long this show was gonna last. Like the fact that the season ended on a cliffhanger was really interesting. What are we doing? The fact that this season ended on a cliffhanger, I honestly was not expecting. I should have expected it, but I wasn't expecting it because the way things are going with just Netflix, the writer's strike, which like WGA strong, of course, and now the actor strike, SAG-AFTRA strong. Who knows how long this show is going to last, knowing Netflix. And every time a show ends on a cliffhanger, I get a little scared. I think I said this in my last one too. I get a little scared. Though, fortunately for the show, but unfortunately for other shows, this show has the edge of being a Sonic IP, and you're gonna make money off of Sonic no matter what. So that it does have that going for it. I don't think, now that I think about it, I don't think animators and animator writers are on a part of the strike because I think it's a different union. They should go on strike too, especially they should go on strike. Them VFX workers, they should all go on strike, but I know it's a lot harder for animation and VFX work. You want my opinion? Pay these people. Bob Iger. Pay these people. Fuck. Anyway, I told you I was beefing with Netflix. I am, but I really wanted to hype up the show. But yeah, so every time a show ends on a cliffhanger, especially on Netflix, I get scared because we never know. We never know. We just gonna be in limbo forever until we're not in limbo anymore. Until they say, oh, new season is announced, and even then, I won't believe it until the actual season is on Netflix to watch. Because the amount of times Netflix has canceled something after it has already been made is way too much. Way too much. Anyway, we're not gonna rant for that too long. We're not gonna do it. Let's talk about my favorite moments in the season to wrap this up. Number 1, in I think it was the second or so episode when they were in the pirate world and they found out like Green Hill was like completely underwater. I don't know why that scene just was like really like wah, because even the characters went wah. I also went wah. It was a really interesting scene. Amy and Rusty Rose moments. Actually, all Amy moments in this show. Y'all know how I feel about my girl Amy. I think I talked about it in the last video that I did about how Amy is just like, I'm glad to see Amy getting her chops. Again, if you read the comic, you already know she's already been getting her chops, but it's especially good to see in a mainline Sonic series of something, Amy get to be that girl. because she is that girl. Okay, you don't give somebody a strong ass hammer and then not make her that girl. Okay, this is not Sakura. This is not Sakura vibes, but y'all ain't ready for that. Y'all ain't ready for that video either. Y'all ain't ready for that. Anyway, every single moment with, especially with Rusty Rose meeting Pirate Amy, I don't remember her name, and then also meeting whatever Jungle Rose Amy's name is, I don't remember, I'm sorry. All of them together meeting, oh my god. Like, girl boss, girl slay. I'm just sorry that she's in her boss babe era. I'm sorry, she is that bitch. Amy is that bitch. Anyway, of course, every single Sanadao moment. Oh, I hurt you too, Shadow. What? Come on now. Maybe that was the bullet point where I just said gay on there. Sanadao fans, we are eating. Sonic just going, respect my boundaries. Please. Please. Chaos Sonic going, you're too slow. Please. Please. They did a couple of ones like that. There was a couple of little like lines that they said throughout the season like that, but that was the one that stuck out to me the most. It was so good. The voice acting in this is top notch. And of course, to wrap it all up, all of the angst moments. This got so angsty so quickly, and I absolutely love it. And if you have not watched it yet, please go watch it. And if you have, let me know down below your favorite moments. I'm sure I missed some. If you watched all the way to this point, thank you so much. You are a real one. Let me know down below what your favorite moments were. If you have any theories, I've been seeing theories bumping around, especially about Shattered Space Sonic, and I'm so into it right now. So talk to me about Shattered Space Sonic, please. Please. And where you think then like next couple seasons are gonna go if we get there. You can catch me on all of my social medias, link down below: Tumblr, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. I do not have Threads. I don't know if I will be getting Threads. Probably not. I don't know. Probably not. Just because my Twitter, the stuff I be posting on Twitter is very, very different than the stuff I be posting on Instagram. What is going on? We went the whole video just for you to okay, anyway, it's very different, and I don't know if I want my Instagram audience, which is also a lot of my IRL family and friends, don't know if they need to see the stuff that I be posting on Twitter. I don't know. I don't think so. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next episode. Love and peace.